Hancock would be the only one of its kind, releasing in 2008 with less appreciation for the film and more controversy. The 2000s had been an era when superhero movies were finding their powers of being less comic book gimmicky and showing audiences more realism or attachments to the main character. Showcases of this would be in the 2003 adaptation of the Hulk, where it becomes the mix of comic narratives with a twist of psychological background, giving fans a different perspective of how Bruce Banner came to be. While I witnessed the Hulk and Hancock in theaters as a kid, Hancock would leave an impression on me as it didn't follow the average dry superhero come-up that could be seen in franchises like Iron Man. But don't get me wrong, Iron Man is my favorite MCU character, and Robert Downey Jr. is still looked at as Tony Stark because of how well he played the part of character development within Marvel. But what Hancock does that wouldn't really be successful in superhero films until the release of Suicide Squad was giving audiences a dilemma of trusting a powerful being that leaves destruction in their path. You could say that Hancock was ahead of its time, which is why when looking at older reviews, people wanted to see more action and less backstory. But the poor reception was also due to the second part of the film, which has a lot of controversy of falling flat around Greek mythology. When most people, including myself, go into this film and it opens up as this alcoholic asshole of a Superman narrative, it makes you believe that it will be a vision straight out of Marvel or DC Comics, but then quickly erases all of that with the introduction of Mary when she is discovered to be another superpower. So what makes Hancock a good action-packed superhero film but also a controversy? We first need to take a look at the three main cast members and then the plot. The main focus of this film starts with Will Smith, who, as you know, is Hancock, or John Hancock, which is a play on getting a signature. In the 2000s, Will Smith was in every film imaginable. His roles in movies like Men in Black and I Am Legend would give him the opportunity to play a superhero, which would go on to inspire his role in Suicide Squad. I mean, you can see hints of Hancock within Deadshot. Then you have Charlize Theron, who was Mary, or the other superhuman in Hancock, that has played some interesting characters in her acting career. Her role in Prometheus or the Alien franchise cannot go unnoticed in this video. And the last actor to make this film complete would be Jason Bateman, that played Ray, who saw the potential in Hancock. Jason has dominated just about every film or series he has been a part of because his methods that make it so damn believable. These three mains would give us the plot for Hancock, a bougie lost superhero that is frustrated with not being seen for who he is, but as a destructive force when he would save the day, that would then make a heavy decision to overcome himself. And yes, I remember the deleted adult scene, which ties into his loneliness, which has also been scrubbed from streaming services. That's very, very interesting. However, where the film takes a turn is when gods, angels, and Greek mythology like the eagle get introduced through scenes of Mary and John fighting it out after a kiss and meet up, because Hancock is still trying to discover himself from the amnesia he would get 80 years before after trying to stop a mugging. This twist makes the audience ask more questions, but the film has little to no answers. This would lead to the controversy of the movie. Hancock is seen as the adult version of Superman. We all know this, which is the way the plot was written. He is always coming in too hot or too bougie, and hell, sometimes even butt naked, which is posted all over YouTube. Hey, we even get the historic bank robbers and robbery scene, which is a callback to the 60s version of Batman with Adam West that sets off the second part of Hancock. But this second part makes us ask, why? Why is Mary also a powerful being that is for some reason trying to live a normal life with Ray, knowing she cannot age? That very question is hinted at the end of the film, but not really explained. More into this theory, however, is Hancock uses Greek mythology to show that John and Mary were built in pairs and are opposites. Once they come together, they lose their powers to live a mortal life. This fragility is explained in the scene where John is laying in the hospital and Mary tells of the history they had together. But if Mary wanted a normal life by being with Ray, and John clearly did as well by being with Mary in the past, why didn't they just stay together? The offset to these questions is Mary could be seen as being selfish to keep her powers, but then that doesn't make makes sense as Mary is clearly trying to live a normal life with Ray. The true meaning behind why Mary left John 80 years ago was to give humanity hope, similar to, you guessed it, Superman or Man of Steel. Mary explains that in ancient times they were seen as gods or angels, giving the audience the idea that people believed in these superpowers. This leads to the other side of Hancock and its plot that made an impression on me. Hancock explores the idea of a troubled person overcoming themselves and saving humanity. There wasn't a lot of superhero films of the time that used this concept, making it hit home just a little harder, and why I think it is so damn good. There were scenes of Hancock serving time in prison in order to become better, which, to be honest, started off rocky, gave us a way to see the other side of John himself, and really makes a connection as people can relate in the idea of trying to turn over a new leaf. His drinking in the film shows the audience he is troubled and feeling alone, which can be seen in scenes with Hancock seeing Ray for the second time, or Mary and John come flying in after fighting. This makes the story behind Hancock more engaging, and we start to feel a more human approach towards his character. Iron Man was one series of events that used similar narratives, as you got to watch Tony Stark grow for 10 years only to save the people he cared so much for. And towards the end of Hancock, you get 2 scenes of death, but instead of Mary being the one to save John like it had happened in the past, John saves Mary and her family and becomes the beacon of all heart. Now, Hancock isn't the only superhero of this film. Ray sees the potential in humanity through his startup known as Allheart, but then gives John a chance of change through rehab, which gives way to what the film is truly about. It's about freaking hope and change, dude. But let's get off the hopium train now and finish the ending of this video. Hancock has become one of my favorite superhero films, especially in the times we are living in. When I was a kid, I remember catching this movie with my dad and brother and thinking about how I could not wait for my parents to buy it on DVD. It showcases realism and that even the most powerful beings have weaknesses like feeling lonely, which gives room for change. There are rumors of a Hancock 2 coming into the picture because of how much this film still holds value, but it is safe to say it would be a real hard follow-up as the cast who made this movie so great have taken other successful ventures. But there is still hope. With that being said, what do you think about Hancock? Do you think the story falls flat because of how a lot of questions went unanswered? Or do you think it takes a different perspective to superhero movies that had not been seen before?